I got back to blading in 2017. I had just turned 41 and I'm not sure if it was a midlife crisis or seeking to stay in shape, but I started thinking about rollerblading again. After that first session, I committed to starting the YouTube channel and I skated every weekend, rain or shine, very few exceptions, for a good 5 years. And thankfully, I never got really injured. I was always able to skate. Sometimes I would miss a week because I was tired or my back got sore or my knees hurt. But for the most part, I was able to skate every weekend with absolutely no problems. I felt myself progressing, getting better as a skater, and I was really having a great time. But then I started getting injured. And it was mostly around my lower back. I would go out and skate and do an air or do a grind, come off a grind, and I would feel my lower back just compress and zap. And it definitely was a feeling that I wasn't familiar with, didn't really know how to handle, didn't know what was causing it. So I decided to take some time off and rest up. My back started feeling great. I would go back out and skate, and that next session, I would hurt my back again. And I realized a couple of things. First of all, I'm 48 years old now. So I am not a young kid that heals quickly. Secondly, I was in great shape before I got back into blading. I had played ice hockey at a fairly comfortable level in beer league. Obviously not a professional ice hockey player, but I took it seriously. I was working out throughout the week and I was in really great shape. I'm an aggressive skater, which means that I don't actually skate all that much. I go to a skate park and I drop in on a mini ramp, or I drop in a bowl and I do airs and I pump around, or I cruise up to a ledge and I jump on a ledge and I jump off the ledge. There's not a lot of actual skating involved. And I came to the realization that the skating is what kept me in shape. And if I wanted to skate more, I had to skate more. With my last injury, I went to my physical therapist and we got some x-rays and confirmed there was nothing wrong with my back. And since then, I'd been doing some big wheel skating, and now I'm at a point where I'm feeling pretty comfortable, feeling strong, and I want to try doing aggressive again. But before I skate today, I wanted to share with you my 3-point plan to help aggressive skaters avoid injuries as they get older. First was stretching. This is one that I think we've talked about in the past. Everybody knows that you need to stretch now. When we were kids, we would just go put our skates on, get out of the car, and just go skate a ledge. But now there's definitely a need to stretch. As soon as I wake up, even before I get out of bed, I do my back stretches. So I start by pulling in each leg to release my lower back and stretch out my quads a little bit. And then I try to isolate my lower back. I'll stick one of my feet under the other and I'll lean over and extend my shoulder back so that it makes a nice pretzel out of myself. Then as I get out of bed, I sit at the edge of the bed and I'll spread my legs a little bit, put my hands on my knees, and I'll lean forward. You can kind of adjust whether your back is arched or flat to pinpoint the area that needs a little bit more stretching. If you start feeling a little tight on one side or the other, while you're bending down, you can always stretch to the left or the right. That will help open up the sides as well. And then I sit back up and I stretch over to my left and stretch over to my right. This opens up that middle back area, especially on the sides, which for me gets really tight. For the legs, really easy to do. Just find a wall, pick up one of your legs, grab that ankle, and pull it all the way back. To do the back of the legs, the calves and the hamstrings, cross your legs and lean forward, try to touch your toes. This will also feel a little stretch in your back. I'll do this every time I go out and skate. Usually find a little patch of grass or something that I can sit in and go through all of the exercises. Maybe not as deep as I would in the morning, but it's important that you open up your muscles before you skate so that you don't tear anything or hurt anything. All right, strengthening. Now this is something that I never really considered until my physical therapist explained what happened to my back. I thought that when I was coming off of that ledge, that I compressed perfectly, my legs took the shock, and I would have been fine. But there is one thing that you can do while you're skating, and this is the key unlock that my physical therapist taught me to help you skate as you get older and avoid injuries. So when we think about working out for skating, mostly thinking about our quads, want to jump higher, want to get down on top sides and get lower on your sole grinds, that's important. But probably most important is that we work on our core. And I know that people know, oh yeah, core exercise is very important. The problem is that you're not working your core as much as you might think by just skating. When you skate, you're working your legs. You're pumping into transition, or you're jumping on a grind and you're getting into a pose. That is great. And the more that you skate, the more that you're going to use those muscles. But if all that you're doing is aggressive, like me, and most of your time skating is actually cruising, coasting, you're not actually working your core as much as if you were actually skating. So then, if you're not using your core as much when skating, why is it important to strengthen your core? When we lift something heavy, we engage our core muscles. We'll bend down low, we'll engage our core muscles, we'll pick it up, and you can feel your stomach get really tight as you lift up that heavy object. This is a similar feeling that you get when you're jumping onto a ledge. You bend your legs down, you engage your core, you lift up your arms, you extend your legs, and you can feel your abs getting tight as you jump up onto a ledge. Now, I've never hurt my back jumping up to a ledge or airing over a transition. It's always when I'm landing that air or I'm coming off of the grind that I can feel my lower back seize up. So what's different? Well, when I jump off of a ledge or I land in air, I'm always thinking, absorb all of that shock in my legs. But of course, some of that impact is hitting my lower back. And without my abs being tight, the back muscles are taking 100% of that impact. And that's what's causing my back injuries. Try to visualize it yourself. When you're jumping on a ledge, you can feel those abs get tight. And then what happens when you jump off? Are you engaging your abs again? I know I wasn't. I'm usually at the end of the grind thinking, I made it, how am I going to come off? But I'm never thinking, engage my core and distribute that impact between my legs and my back. So there's a few ways that you can strengthen your core. You can find a lot of great yoga courses on YouTube. Find one that focuses on core exercises. Most important thing is you just do something about it. I have also learned that for me personally, I am not mobile enough during the day. I looked at my health data and I was averaging around 2,000 to 3,000 steps. Now that is an extremely low average. They say that you should be getting around 5,000 to 7,000 steps a day just to maintain a healthy lifestyle. For me, I've set a goal of 10,000 steps a day. We have a treadmill at home, which helps a lot. I just put my iPad up and put my AirPods in and listen to YouTube or listen to music while I finish out my day and get my 10,000 steps. I also purchased this small under-desk treadmill that I keep at the office. It was $150, $200. It works great. So now during conference calls or when I have a break in the day, I will pull this out from under my desk. I set it to 2 miles an hour and 30 minutes, 45 minutes of walking. You can start getting your heart rate up, but most importantly, I'm also engaging my core and keeping my body moving. And my final tip for strengthening, if you're an aggressive skater, get yourself some big wheel skates. You don't have to get a complete setup. You could just get yourself some 80mm frames. You need a way that you can skate. You need to use those muscles that you're not using by cruising up to a ledge or dropping in on a mini ramp. You need to actually engage your core when you're skating, and big wheels are a great way to do that. And of course, it wouldn't be back to blading unless we talked about your setup. I've tried dozens of setups to see what works best for the way that I like to skate. And now that I'm focused on shock absorption and reducing the impact, there's a few things that I'm going to stick with. So the first thing that I'm going to do is stick with 88A wheels. I've been a big proponent of softer wheels, and I know that they wear a little bit faster, but if all things are equal, I want to make sure that whenever I go out and skate, I have the most shock absorption possible, and a softer urethane will help me with that. I'm skating these 88A wheels. These are 56 millimeter. A bigger wheel will probably have more urethane, which will give me a little bit more shock absorption, but I love the profile of these 56s. The stability is really nice. So I'm going to skate the 56s for a while and then maybe upgrade to 58s and maybe 60s in the future. I am also going to be skating flat. So 88A is a great soft hardness. 2 88A wheels is great. 4 of them is even better. Distributing that impact across all 4 wheels at 88A is going to be a really great, comfortable ride. I've never upgraded my insoles. I did a few insole tests back in the day, mostly around performance, not around impact and shock absorption, but I am starting to skate the FP insoles. So these are a shock absorbing insole. They're designed for skateboarding. They have some special shock absorption material in the heels. They fit really nicely into whatever liner you're using. Just need to trim them around with some scissors to make them fit just like your existing insoles. A lot of skaters have recommended these to me in the past. There's a lot of people skating them and swear by them. I've always been hesitant. I've wanted to go with more responsiveness than squishiness, but I think it's time for me to give them a shot. And then finally, I skate the Standard Omni. Full disclosure, I do own Standard. We designed this skate for the way that I like to skate. Now, most skates are a raised heel boot. That means that the shell itself is designed with that heel raise so that you have that natural forward lean out of the box. Instead of using the boot for that, the Standard Omni is a flat boot, and you use a squishy material to raise your heel up to give you a comfortable ride. A flat heel with a shock absorber is definitely the way to go. So that is my 3-point plan for reducing injuries to aggressive skaters as they get older. Now, it's time to skate. All right, so first session back, new strategy, new me. I feel pretty good, man. I gotta be honest. Absolutely no back pain at all. It feels great. It feels loose. I feel like I could skate for longer, but I won't because I am exhausted. It takes a lot out of you, man. A lot of jumping. I think I used to say, you get a set amount of jumps per session, and the more that you skate, the more jumps you can get. But I definitely used through all of my jumps. That back far was really difficult. Not just, it's been my first time skating in a while, but jumping up on that thing after doing all of those tricks with no brake, and then getting that squat. It's harder on a lower object always, but I don't have that leg strength anymore because I don't use those muscles. Those muscles that we get from aggressive skating, you don't use any other place. So, doing royales, when are you going to use the outside of your quad? Like, that isn't a thing. Maybe if you're going horseback riding, but I don't think anybody does that in aggressive skates. Maybe that's you. If you're an equestrian and aggressive skater, let me know in the comments. But yeah, it felt great. Everything just locked solid. You know, soul tricks felt amazing. Most of all, you know, my favorite trick, back royale, it still needs a lot of work, but being able to jump on, get boot down, feel solid on there, that I could go longer if this box were longer. It's an amazing feeling. So what have I changed since my last video? Well, a lot. You know, I'm skating a better setup for an older dude or girl trying to skate aggressive without injuring themselves. I have shock absorbers on the inside, I have shock absorbing insoles, I have a flat setup, and I have soft wheels. Those 4 things I think are the key to success from a gear setup. The stretching is super important. I've been on my stretches for months now. Some of them I've been doing for years, and it shows. I have a lot more flexibility. I have a lot more control. I feel like if I were to try doing, you know, that Mizu without doing my stretches, it would have been a much more stand-up Mizu, but I had no problem getting down low like I love to do. And then the strength. Aside from doing the 10,000 steps a day, engaging that core all throughout the grind. So I would jump, and when I squatted to jump on the ledge, I would engage my core. I would jump on and I would keep my core engaged while I was on the grind, and then jump off. And I stayed engaged the entire time, still absorbing the shock in my legs, still having the right gear to help with that shock absorption, but engaging my core so that it distributes that impact between the abs and the back. That, I think, is the key to aggressive skating and avoiding injury, especially as you get older. It is a thing that you will never see somebody do because most of us don't skate shirtless. And if you did, you couldn't tell if somebody was engaging their core. Maybe they have ripped abs. I don't have ripped abs, but you might be able to see that they were engaging their abs while they landed, but it's pretty unlikely you'd be able to tell the difference. This is a thing that my physical therapist had to explain to me, and it makes total sense. And I hope that by explaining it to you and by preaching it over the next 100 videos, that you will learn the habits that I'm learning, and you will engage your core when you're landing all throughout the grind, so that when you land, you distribute the impact better, less wear and tear on your joints, less wear and tear on your lower back, and you'll be able to skate until you die. Thank you so much for staying with me throughout this journey. I think I've posted maybe 2 skating videos in the last 2 years, so it has definitely not been a skating channel. It is a skate-related channel, but I am fitting to change that. I will be going back to weekly skating as soon as possible, weather permitting. I need to get back in shape. I miss skating more than I realized. And being around skating is great, but being around skating and not being able to skate, it really sucks. So I fixed that. I am now a skater again, and I'm gonna keep skating and keep sharing my journey as a old rollerblader, trying to jump on ledges and pose without hurting his back. Thanks again for watching, and hope to see you next week.